come in the room, folks. Y'all just want to talk about the simple fact that sometimes there is a humbling truth that will walk in with God that you will not always know or understand why you have to go through some things. So with that being said, y'all, we're going to talk about Jehoshaphat today. Jehoshaphat was considered a righteous king, a prayerful man. And so Jehoshaphat in this story is in 2 Chronicles chapter 20 to be exact, okay? Jehoshaphat basically is told that the others were trying to come against him and his people. And then as he hears about the people coming against him, there are people that are coming to him and that are saying, look, there's a great multitude against you. And so just like they did with Jehoshaphat, I know there's the enemy talking in your head and he's saying, look, this anxiety is pretty great, this depression, they didn't make it through that, that suicidal thought, don't nobody really bounced back from that before. I mean, I done seen plenty of people die from this. I don't think you could make it through this. Just like, how people do, that people were coming to him telling him how great of a multitude was coming against him. It says that Jehoshaphat feared, but then he set his face to the Lord. He set his face to seek the Lord. And then he proclaimed a fast throughout the land. So that tells me that Jehoshaphat didn't start talking to everybody. No, but the minute he found out that something was coming against him and he knew who he knew he was a child of God, then at that point he decided to seek the only one that could help him in that situation. And the only one that could help him in that moment was God. And so that's why Jehoshaphat had to seek the face of the Lord, because he knew what was coming up against him. He knew what was coming to fight him. He knew the things that were coming up against him seemed greater than him and what he had. And so that's why he had to press in and get in God's face to see what the Lord was saying about his situation. Then for the verses, it says that Judah gathered together and they joined and they sought help from the Lord and cities that were round about. So there's other people that are coming in connection with what King Jehoshaphat had called for. So that is so profound, because now that I think about it, when you begin to gather and you begin to unite with other Christians, other people that are walking with God, other people that want to know God, when you connect with those people and you all come together corporately, when we're all on one accord, then we can get stuff done. So many of us, we're so busy trying to fight that which is supposed to be a part of us that we can't even fight together when this thing is coming up against everything that we stand for. So Judah, they joined together as they sought for the Lord for help. Jehoshaphat, he stood before the people and before the new court. And basically, I would say that in that moment, they were consecrating, they were praying. He began to release a prayer in the atmosphere. And he began to tell God, God, aren't you the God that created this? Aren't you the God of the heathens? Aren't you the God? Like, he started telling God, like, God, aren't you in control of this? It's almost kind of like you in your lifestyle right now. Like, God, aren't you in control of this whole earth? Didn't you make this world? Didn't you make the systems in the way that things operate? Didn't you create all of us in this earth? You know all things. You're ruler of everything. And then he goes down and he says, if we dwell therein and have built thee a sanctuary therein for thy name's saying, if when evil cometh upon us, as the sword judgment or pestilence or famine, we stand before this house and in thy presence and cry unto thee in our affliction, then thou wilt hear and help. So what Jehoshaphat was saying was, he was saying that, God, didn't you say that if we come to you with these things that are coming up against us, didn't you say that you would hear us and that you would answer us? Didn't you say that, he started talking to God. He started repeating what God said. And so that's the great thing about this, is that when things are coming up against you that do not look or do not align with the plan of God, we got to know how to repeat God's word back to him. That his word will never fall to the ground. And so that means that if God is word and the word is God, that's in John, right? That's in John. So in the beginning was the word, and the word was God, and the word was with God. And so that means that means that God is word. So that means that when his word is repeated back to him, that means that he got to act on his word, because his word is his word. And God's never going to come against his word. And so in that moment, Jehoshaphat even mentioned the fact of God's word, what he had established, what came out of his mouth, the promises that were given to him and his people. And in verses after that, he talks to him about the people. He said, I know that's what you said, God. He said, but why are these people coming up against me? He said, they're coming up against me and my people to try to take possession of the things that you've given us. And then he says, and then that was the people that we spared when we left Egypt. He said, but now they're trying to come take the possession, the things that you've given us. This can't go down like this. And if you go back to verse 12, it says, O our God, will thou not judge them? For we have no might against this great company that cometh against us, neither know what we to do, but our eyes are upon thee. Verse 13 says, and all Judah stood before the Lord with their little ones, their wives, and their children. So I said, well, why would they say little ones and children? Isn't that considering children? But then when I looked at the prior verse and it said, for we have no might against this great company that cometh up against us, I said, oh, okay. So he's referring to the people that was supposed to be fighters. In the sense, he didn't really have strong fighters. There were little ones, technically, according to the great multitude that was supposed to be coming up against him. God comes and he speaks through Jaziel, the son of Zechariah, and he prophesies through him and he says, hearken all of Judah, all of the people and the king. He says, hearken all of you, listen. In verse 15 at the end it says, thus said the Lord unto you, be not afraid nor dismayed by reason of this great multitude. That means you don't have to be afraid of the thing that seems like it's bigger than you. It says that for the battle is not yours, but it's God's. So that's telling them right now, you have no worry for what's coming up against you, but I will fight your battle. And then God begins to give them instruction for where to find their enemies. And I said, God, well, you gave them the exact location, but they can't fight. Why would they go to a place? A lot of us would have been saying, make it make sense, God. Why would I go to a place and I just said I don't have no might? Why would you have me do this? And I just said I don't have the money. Why would you tell me to go here and I don't even know what to say? Why would you tell me to be a part and I don't even have the resources to do this? And so what God is saying to you, he's saying in verse 17, just like he told him, he said, you shall not need to fight in this battle. Set yourselves, position yourselves, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. O Judah and Jerusalem, fear not nor be dismayed. Tomorrow go against them, for the Lord will be with you. And they went. And as they're going, Jehoshaphat, he appoints singers and praisers as they're going towards the army. And all of a sudden, the army begins to fight themselves. And they begin to destroy themselves. That's exactly what your issue is going to do. It's going to destroy itself. Poverty is not going to live there. Anxiety is not going to live there. Depression is not going to live there. Nothing that is the fruit of God will live there, because God is fighting on your behalf. And you better believe.